Hello guys. So yesterday we talked about making our name tally chart, and we made a name bar graph, and we learned about making tallies and how to put that data into a graph. Remember, data is the information that you collect when you do a survey. So remember, our survey was when I asked you how many letters are in your name. When you answered that, I was able to collect data to put into my charts. So today we're going to take this data and put it into a picture graph. Now you may hear it called picture graph, or you may hear it called pictograph. Listen to the word pictograph. In pictograph, if you listen closely, you can almost hear the word picture. That's because a pictograph is just a picture graph. So first, over here, I've kind of gotten it started for us. We're going to put our title, and it's going to be called Name Picture Graph. I'm going to also write up here, I don't know if y'all will be able to see it or not. I want to show you how to spell picto. Let me bring it a little bit closer for a second. What picto, the word, looks like. Pictograph. It's still kind of hard to see. But just remember, it can be called a picture graph or a pictograph. We'll keep talking about that as we go on this week. Okay. So we've got our title on our picture graph. Now I need to add in some of the information that we talked about yesterday. So right here, let me make sure. This will be number of letters. This part right here will stand for students with that number of letters in their name. And then this one, just like on our tally chart, will be the total. Okay, so remember, for number of letters, our choices we had were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, with a picture graph, whenever you use a picture graph, you just use a certain picture to represent the data in your graph. So for our picture graph, I'm just going to do a smiley face. And up here, I kind of wrote near it so it's hard to see, it says key. And for my key, I'm going to put a smiley face, equals 1 student. I'm running out of room on this paper here. A key just tells the person that's looking at the graph what each picture represents. So as you get on up, I think, I'm not sure if in 2nd grade or not, but definitely in 3rd grade, sometimes like a smiley face may represent 2 students instead of 1. But right now in 1st grade, it's just 1 picture equals 1 student. But it's important to always look at the key just to make sure that those pictures just stand for 1. So ours will just stand for 1 right now. Okay, number of letters. How many students had 3 letters in their name? We only had 1 student with 3 letters. So I'm just going to do 1 smiley face. How many students had 4 letters in their name? 1 student. So again, just 1 smiley face. How many students had 5 letters in their name? That was a big one, remember? 5 letters, there were 6 students. So I'm going to have to draw 6 smiley faces. I probably can't make them as big as I have been. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there's our 6 smiley faces for our 6 kids that have 5 letters in their name. For 6 letters in their name, we have 4 students with 6 letters. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Alrighty, for 7 letters in their name, we have 6 students with 7 letters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then finally with 8 letters, we have 1 student with 8 letters. And then we can go and fill out our total just like we did for our tally chart. There was a total of 1 student with 3 letters, 1 student with 4 letters. With 5 letters, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 students. With 6 letters, there were 1, 2, 3, 4 students. With 7 letters, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 students. And with 8 letters, there was 1 student with 8 letters. All right, so there's our tally chart, our bar graph, and our picture graph, or remember that can also be called a pictograph. So now that we've done the 3 different types of graphs that we will learn about in first grade, I want to ask you a few questions about these graphs. Now, every single one of these graphs shows the exact same thing. It's just in a different way. So this graph shows you all of the same information about the number of letters in students' names using tallies. This graph shows you the same information, but it's in a bar graph form. In this graph, it shows you the same information, but it's shown in pictures. So which one do you think is your favorite, first of all? Which type of graph do you like the best? I always think a picture graph is fun, or a bar graph, just because it's really easy to read quickly and see the correct numbers. Tally charts aren't bad either. They take some more work. You have to really think hard about the number of tallies and stuff like that. They do challenge your brain. Okay, so some questions now. Looking at the graphs, which number of letters in students' names had the most amount? Five and 7 both had the greatest amount of students with that number of letters. They both had 6 students with that amount. Which number of letters had the least? Now this is kind of tricky because I kind of added this on last minute with the 9. So if you're looking at the bar graph and answering this question, 9 has the least amount of students because it has 0. But that's not very much of a fair question to ask because the other ones don't have 9. So if you were not paying attention to the 9 on this bar graph and you're just looking at the picture graph to answer this question, the least number of students actually is a 3-way tie between 3, 4, and 8. 3, 4, and 8 all only had 1 student with that amount of letters in their name, so that is the least amount. But if you're looking at the bar graph, 9 has the least because there's 0 for 9. All right, one more question. How many total students were surveyed, or how many total students were asked the question of how many letters are in your name? To find this answer, all you have to do is count up the total number of people that were asked. So you could do this on the picture graph. That's probably the easiest. So let's count how many smiley faces there are, because that will tell us the total number of people that were asked this question, or that answered the question, I should say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19 people were surveyed. You could also check this by counting on the bar graph. You could count all of the different bars that you colored in. So let's see if it also has 19. It should if we did this correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So again, 19 people were asked the question. And you can even find this out using the tally chart if you want to count the tallies here. So I'm going to count the 5s first because that would probably be quickest. 5, 10, and now we can count by 1s. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So all of our graphs show that there were 19 people surveyed with this question of how many letters are in your name. So remember, we have 3 types of graphs here: the tally chart, the bar graph, and the picture graph, or you can call it a pictograph. We're going to keep learning more and more about this this week. I believe I have another survey question for you today, and it is, what month is your birthday in? So be looking for that on one of the next pages on Canvas.